Welcome to the Mango Effect podcast, where every week we talk about the path to living a limitless life and having the freedom to do it your way. No topics are off limits. We get into the practical, the hypothetical, and the downright juicy stuff. I'm Mindy Rosser, your host and lifestyle cheerleader, and I'm here today to talk about why I moved back to the Midwest in the U.S. after living in Hawaii for nearly 4 years. Now, if you have listened to any of the other episodes, you have heard me talk about why I love Hawaii. I even did a full episode on why we moved to Hawaii from the Midwest. So here we are, 4 years later, moving back. And why is that? There are a lot of reasons, and I really wanted to get into them today because it's something I get asked about a lot. Now that we're back, we're seeing a lot of familiar faces, and we're getting the question, wait, I thought you were in Hawaii. Did you not like it? Why are you here? Was it too expensive? Why are you back here? Don't you miss the warm weather? What about surfing? All of these questions. And to be honest, they do get a little annoying sometimes because you just want to say, I'm here. Deal with it. I'm here. I'm back. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this. But, it's really important to understand why. And also, when you are asked really annoying questions or interesting questions or just plain downright nosy questions, it's good to have an answer. It's good to have thought through it. And sometimes you even need a couple of versions of answer based on who you're talking to. How deep do you want to go in this discussion? What do you want to focus on? What elements? Because there are always more than just one reason why we do things. And so when we are clear about why we are doing what we are doing, we can answer with confidence. And so this is something my husband and I have been talking about for the last few weeks, a little bit longer than that, because people keep asking, why are you moving? Why did you move? People from Hawaii are like, we haven't seen you guys. We saw your house is empty. And just really being able to explain in ways that make sense to each individual why we moved, and also to avoid really uncomfortable long conversations, it's really helpful. And so I thought, you know what, let's talk about this, because I thought I was going to feel incredibly homesick and really, really miss Hawaii when we moved here. And I thought for sure, I'm like, okay, I love surfing. That has not gone away. I still love surfing. I still really miss the water. But what can I do instead, to compensate for that? And I will be starting to swim. It's 2023 and swimming is one of my big goals because I really want to earth. I really like that grounding feeling. I like being in the water. And if I can't always get into the water to surf Lake Michigan, because I haven't figured that out yet, then there has to be some other way for me to still get that sensation and get that feeling, get that relief, get that exercise, get that meditation. So there are a lot of elements that I do miss, but there are also a lot of elements I don't miss at all about being on an island. And so I just wanted to talk through some of them today to kind of share my thoughts. And you really get to be a fly on the wall and how we make decisions and what really goes through my head when we're considering something as big as moving 5,000 plus miles away across an ocean with a family of 4. So first of all, why did I move? Number one is I'm going back to school. And if you've listened to some of the other episodes, I have talked a little bit about that. I'm going to be focusing on pre-med, which is very different from my business and my LinkedIn stuff. So I haven't really talked about it too much on my business side of my communications. But I do talk about it here because this is where we keep it real. This is about lifestyle. This is not just about my business and LinkedIn stuff that I'm doing. So that really is the crux of the matter. And that's really the driver behind all of this. And when I had to sit down and think, okay, can I do school here in Hawaii, or would I get a better education and have more support if I was elsewhere? And if I was elsewhere, where would that be? So for me, coming back to Indiana, Northwest Indiana, which is where I'm from, where my family is, really made the most sense. It is incredibly economical to live here, especially compared to Hawaii. It is literally half the cost of everything. So literally, go straight across the board. You want to slash your expenses in half. It's like, okay, Hawaii to Northwest Indiana, you're like, I'm saving at least 50%, if not 60% on a lot of things. And then when it comes to housing, so an average place where we were living before, the house we were in Hawaii, was worth $1.5 million. Okay, so the house we are living in now is literally a fifth of that. So it is just very, very different in terms of what things cost, especially housing prices, and what it takes to live in a certain area. And when you are going to school, as many of you know, you've been there, some of you are doing it now, some of you are going back to school as non-traditional learners like me. You need every inch you can get when it comes to your budget. You really need to think through monetary expenses, especially if you were or still are the primary breadwinner, because all of a sudden, all that income and all of that energy you're putting towards generating income is going to be split between your business and also your studies. And depending on what area of study you're going into, you may need more time in the academic department. So for me, I really had to be honest with myself, and I said, okay, cost of living here, can I keep doing my business at the same level? And can I expect myself to keep doing my business at the same level as soon as I get into med school? Or will that require a very severe dip in income and student loans and debt that I don't want to take on if I stay in Hawaii versus going to Indiana where the scholarships are better? We have residency status here. I've lived here for most of my life, so getting into an Indiana school is going to be much easier. And I can prove residency, and my parents have residency here, which makes a very, very big difference when you are trying to get into state schools. So for me, that was one of the biggest reasons. So I thought, okay, I'm taking my emotions out of it because that's very difficult and really focusing on, all right, what is the best for my family? And do I really truly want to go into pre-med? Do I really want to become a doctor? That was something I had to wrestle with for a very long time. And I could not shake it. No matter what I did, I tried to distract myself with surfing. I tried to pour myself more into my business. And I just could not shake it. And the desire still is there. And when I look back 10 years from now at my journey and say, okay, did I make the right move? Am I going to be happier that I stayed in Hawaii and kept doing my business? Or am I going to have some regrets because I didn't pursue what I was truly passionate about, because I didn't want to move, and because I didn't want to invest the money and the time? And I had to really be honest with myself and have a lot of good conversations around that to make the decision. And everybody that I talk to that is in my, I would say my counseling circle or my circle of influence, they all say, Mindy, go for it. Like, you are not too old. You can do this. You are so passionate about it. If you followed me around outside of my work hours, outside my LinkedIn stuff and outside the podcast, what you would see is me always binge listening and binge watching things related to the medical field, health, fitness, wellness. I'm like fascinated, and I have always been fascinated by that. And I just have never pursued it academically because, you know, in my mind, I just wrote off doctor because I didn't start when I was, 18. But now it is a possibility. And so now I can pursue this. And is it the right time and the right move? Yes. So the number one reason I moved back to the Midwest is to go to school. Number two, kind of a close second to that, would also be family support and really understanding my parents and where they are in life. And there is nobody here. All of my brothers have moved away, so they have no family close by. My dad is getting older. My mom is also getting older, and they have mentioned some things to me where I felt like, they're not telling me to come back. They're not telling me that they need me here, but it really would be helpful as they start aging for us to have a base here and for them to also get to know my kids, because long distance grandparenting is very difficult. And the most that my parents got to spend with my kids was, a FaceTime here and there. It was, some messaging back and forth, some audio messages, but it wasn't that face-to-face time. So to me, that was really important, thinking about the future of our kids and where they were now and the relationships I wanted them to have with my parents, especially before they got older, and got to the point where it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And those early years are really important too, I feel like, for establishing family bonds and relationships. So that was a really, really close second, is really having that support and really getting back in touch with my parents. I missed my family. I didn't realize how much I missed them either till I got here and we started spending some time together. I thought, wow, I really miss this relationship. Like, my mom and I are very, very close friends. And so it's been so fun to reconnect in real life, and also our texting and stuff has gotten more active. Like, we keep each other in the loop every day, which I feel like is really, really healthy, and I'm really stoked to be back. Number 3, why we moved back here. Finances, of course. Finances. So if anyone tells you that they don't do things for financial reasons, I always kind of look at them sideways like, really? It was funny because I felt like living in Hawaii, when we first were looking at moving there from the Midwest, I thought, okay, I know it's all double the price there, but I'm going to make double the money because I live in Hawaii, and everyone looks at me going, wow, you're so rich, you live in Hawaii. And that's just not how it works. I feel like I was very misled and misguided and very young at the time. I feel like I have grown up a lot since those days, and just realizing the power of financial freedom and no stress. Once we landed here, and especially once we got the house, so once we actually signed and closed on the house, I was so nervous up to that point. Being in between homes is very disconcerting, especially when you're moving 5,000 miles away and you have stuff, literally all of your stuff is on a boat somewhere in the middle of the ocean, and it's not going to be here for like 3 to 4 weeks. And then you're wondering whether you're going to be in a hotel for too long, and hopefully everything closes on time. So timing all of that was really, really tricky. But we did it. We totally did it. We literally landed here on a Wednesday. We closed that Friday. It was incredible. I was pretty stoked about it, and just how we timed it all, and thankfully the universe aligned and it all worked out. So I was prepared, that we were going to be in a hotel and maybe living out of boxes for a while. And once we got settled and once we got into the house, it was just like a sense of relief. Of course, after all of the expenses of buying a washer and dryer and all the setup house stuff that you have to do at the beginning, that is a lot of money, but it passes. It's a one-time thing. Once you're set up, you're set up. So once we got through that, I felt this sense of, wow, I do not wake up every single morning stressed about money. I'm not stressed about how much money my business is making. I'm not worried about my overhead in my business. I'm not worried about running Facebook ads. There were so many things that just dropped. And I just was like, wow, I did not realize how stressed I was for the past 4 years, especially the past 2, I would say, where I was primary breadwinner when I didn't have other income coming in. It was really, really intense, and especially at that high cost of living. And then we were also renting at the time, so you never know when your rent's going to change, and we got a pretty good deal, so we knew it was going to go up at some point. And then with the economy and changes in cost of electricity there, it literally went up like 25 to 40%. So there were a lot of factors that we just could not control that were at play. And so really having that financial stress just go, wow. I'm like, wow, we actually have a house. Like, we don't have to get kicked out or a 30-day notice or rent going up unexpectedly. Like, everything is going to be the same. It was just incredible relief. So if you have considered making a move like that, or you have considered moving to an area that cost a lot more, keep in mind, I went in with rosy glasses. I was like, it's going to be great. And even when I would talk to people, I tried to make it sound as good as possible, and I always overlooked the financial stress. And I tried to change that financial stress into something that was more like, well, I'm using this as motivation. I'm using this as a way to manifest my reality. I really want to own a beach house. I really want to, be like these people that were around me that, well, I don't even know. A lot of them that we talked to, a lot of our friends, were mortgaged to the hilt and taking out HELOCs every time that the house prices jumped. So they weren't really financially healthy, but it looked on the outside as if they had it all together. And I was trying to be like them. To be honest, I was. And I thought, well, if I have the outer trappings of success, like I have this beach house, like in Hawaii, it's not about having a fancy car. It's not about how you dress. It's not about the things you have, but it is about being able to afford living there. And most people, especially where we were on the North Shore of Oahu, are literally, if they are not crazy rich, they are literally, every single month, they're just hoping that they can make their rent. They're hoping they can pay their expenses, and they're hoping they don't go under. And I really didn't like that vibe and that energy either, because it definitely was how I was feeling. I was like, okay, all right, I got to make X number in my business so I can be profitable enough, so I can take a profit distribution, take my salary, and make ends meet and make it still comfortable for my family. And we were very, very cheap, I would say. We didn't spend much money on anything except rent and food. And literally it's double what the cost is here in the Midwest. So that was a big factor. I'm not going to lie. It was definitely a big factor in why we moved back here. And we really wanted to set a firm financial foundation. So my husband and I talked about it, and we're like, okay, we love living here. None of us want to leave. We love Hawaii. It's great. We like the climate. We like surfing every day. We like, driving 2 minutes from our house and surfing a world-class surf break. We like the weather. We like the people. We like the vibes, the energy for the most part. But long term, when we look back on our lives, when we're crusty and old, and we look back and we say, did we set ourselves up financially well for the future? And then did we also leave our kids a legacy where if they want to pursue different things when they're older, that we actually have the funds and the means to do so? Or were we selfish and just kind of took what we wanted, which was living in Hawaii, and not saving for our future. And we realized it was going to be very challenging to save for our future there. And we could take out all of that stress if we just moved somewhere that cost less. So that also played into the decision to move, and just wanted to share that it's just so relieving. Like I look at the money in the bank account now, and it's a completely different emotion. I'm like, wow, oh, that's going to last us like 3 months, when before that would be like a month and a half, or maybe a month I would be stressing about it. And so just that big shift in energy is huge. It's huge. Also, number 4, bringing our family closer together and really planning routes. We felt, some people don't feel this way, but some people do. And when you are renting and when you are not sure where you're going to be and things kind of feel a little up in the air, so many times your family can also feel a little less grounded. And so for us, we were really looking for grounding, for like bringing our family together. We wanted pets. We couldn't have pets renting. Like that was prohibited in our lease. And we like adopted a stray cat. We try not to bring it in the house too often. So this is also something that we felt our family needed. So we have a cat. We have adopted a kitten since moving here. We also have a puppy coming very soon, a very adorable English bulldog. I love English bulldogs. We tried to go with a different breed, but I just love English bulldogs too much. So we have a little guy we're going to pick up later this month, and he's going to become part of our family. So cat, dog, family, it's awesome. So we have noticed, even just by having a pet and adding that to our family, just the dynamic and how it has brought our family together has been incredible. And you think it's just a pet, but there's something special about that. There's something that you develop when you have an animal in the house. It can be very therapeutic. It can also just be pure fun, and I've really, really enjoyed that element to relocation and just kind of growing our family with animals. So that's been super, super fun too. Next, I think number 5 is where I'm at, is also the business. I really want to take the business in a different direction. I don't want to have so much of a go, have to grow this business as big as possible feel. I really want to work with clients I enjoy. There are certain aspects that I really love about my work. There are certain aspects that I didn't care so much about, and I've talked about them on the podcast. Expecting crazy big launches is very stressful for me, but doing client work is great. Doing an organic launch, I'm going to test that this month. I'm curious to see how I will feel with not running ads and just doing a small launch to, people on my list, and also inviting alumni to join a membership, a short-term membership, not an annual membership. So this is something that I'm experimenting with just to develop a healthier relationship with my business and not put so much pressure on how much money am I making? Am I manifesting? Am I growing this business enough? Am I hiring people? Am I expanding? Am I having an impact? I feel like there are better ways for me to have an impact, and business is not my way. And I've had to come to grips with that because this year has been past year has been very challenging in that regard. Like I went all in. I invested a lot. I tried to put on the persona of the digital entrepreneur, and it just isn't my thing. It's just not who I want to be and who I want to be perceived as. It's not how I want to help the world. It's not the people I want to be serving long term. It's not the types of problems I want to be solving. So for me, it's really been a shift, which is why I'm going back to school, because to do what I want to do, that is necessary. And I love school. Okay, so have I mentioned that? I love school. Like, I'm so excited about school and education. I was that weird kid that would try to turn in her homework as early as possible. Like, we'd have a paper due, and I would ask the teacher, how early can I turn this in? She'd just give me, like, the most weird look. And how early? You mean when the deadline is? I'm like, no, how early can I turn it in? I want to get it done. I was that kid. So I'm really, really excited about school and just, it's going to be 10, 12 years of a lot of learning, a lot of grinding, and that's okay. And I think finally, overall lifestyle. Like the overall lifestyle feel. The Midwest is a really good life. Like I grew up here. I know how it works. Everything is very familiar, and there's something special about things being familiar. It's easy to focus on other elements that are more challenging when the environment is familiar. So for example, talking about school and going back to school, going to school in Hawaii is going to feel very, very foreign. If you have not been to Hawaii, it is a foreign country. Literally, I know it's part of the U.S., but it's not. It is a foreign country, and everything there is it's backwards. Like, a lot of the stuff is just not normal. It is an island life, and you have to learn it. And so it's very, very difficult for somebody who is from the mainland U.S. to adapt and integrate. And so adding the level of integrating into like a school environment that is very island focused and just very different from what I am accustomed to education-wise as well, I felt like that was just adding a layer of complexity I did not need. So taking that off the table and just kind of like, okay, let's make the lifestyle as smooth as possible. Boring. Like, we are going to boring our lifestyle. Like, we're going to make it like super, super boring. It's not exotic. It's very traditional. We live in like a great school district. We have like nice houses around us, nice people. It's, pretty straightforward. The gym is closed, all of this stuff, but just really focusing on how to make our lifestyle adaptive so that I can put all of that extra energy towards studies, towards family, towards going on adventures. Like, we're already planning, like, we're looking at snowboarding, we're looking at wakeboarding. That's another thing I'd like to do. There's a lot of really neat stuff here in the Midwest that I just never paid attention to before. And now that I learned how to surf and I like board sports, it's like I have like a new playground here in the Midwest. There's so many different ways to do board sports here that now it's just like exciting because there are a lot of things that we can explore as a family and really kind of get to know the area in a different way as well. Also, lifestyle, huge. And just the simple things like same day shipping. This is magical. Okay, for those of you who are used to it, you're like, yeah, Mindy, of course. You can order things Walmart, and like later that night they'll bring it to you and put it on your doorstep. To me, that is like a completely foreign concept. Nothing like that existed in Hawaii. When you have Amazon Prime, it usually gets there slower than Amazon Subscribe and Save, which usually takes at least 8 days. So it's completely different here, and we're trying to not impulsively shop because we can just get everything like the next day. It's like fantastic. So it's those simple little pleasures that you just took for granted until you move away and you don't have them anymore. And now it's like where we live, everything is within like a 5, 10, 15-minute radius. Like school's 15 minutes away. The kids' school is literally 2 minutes away. The gym is 7 minutes away. Bazillions of grocery stores. Everything is like very close proximity, which was not at all like that in Hawaii. So I'm really, really grateful, I think, for taking the stress out of just typical lifestyle living things that when you live on an island, you just don't have the luxury. So keep that in mind too. If you are looking at moving, relocating, or you just want to feel good about where you live, sometimes you just want to feel good about it. You don't have to live in any specific location. And that's what the mango effect is about. It's about choosing where and when and how the right place is for you, no matter where you are in life. And you can always, always change it. And I think that's the beauty of this whole concept is, Hawaii was the right move when we made that move. At the time, it made complete sense. Was it an amazing adventure? Oh yeah, it was. Did I learn how to surf? Oh yeah, I did. Did I take my business to a new level? Yes, I did. Did I grow as a human? Definitely. Did I get the experience of almost living in a different country? Yeah, lots of that stuff. And I bring all of that back with me. But I think coming back here now, I come with a new perspective and a new appreciation, I think, for things that I took for granted all my life. And so that's something that I have really learned over time and something that I can take forward with me. And also, if I want to go back to Hawaii, I can always hop on a plane and go see our friends. No big deal. I still have boards there. So if I want to go surfing, it's just a plane flight away. And we have buddies that we can go hang out with. So all of that to say, I'm happy to be back in the Midwest. And I'm excited to explore this next chapter. And no matter where you are in life, no matter whether you are going back to school, navigating a career change, looking at, changing the dynamic in your relationship, getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, you're focusing on your family, getting a pet, whatever it may be for you. Have fun, because we only have one life. And don't let anybody hold you back. Don't ever feel like you have to make a decision for someone else. This is about you. This is about your life. This is about what you believe is the right next move for you. And if it's to stay where you are, great. If it's to move, then move. Look at your options. Do your pros and cons list and really figure out what you need at this point in your life. All right, so that's it for this week. That's why I moved to the Midwest. And if you want to ask future questions, you can DM me on Instagram to share your take on moving, relocating, being happy where you are, all of that good stuff. I'm also on TikTok, so you can look me up in both places at Mango Effect Podcast. Let's encourage and inspire each other this week. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the Mango Effect Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And I would be absolutely delighted if you could write a 5-star review for the show if you love it. We are kind of still a new show, so any reviews and subscribes we get will definitely help us as we continue to grow. All right, I will talk with you in the next episode. Bye for now.